This is a quick species guide to my fantasy universe of the 4 core species. There are humans, just humans. There are elves, just elves. There are ghosts, which are beings composed of mostly magic. And there are centaurs, centaurs. And there are hybrids of these species. There is a cyclops, which is a human and a ghost. There's a half-elf, which is a human and an elf. There is a satyr, which is a human and a centaur. There is a fae, which is an elf and a ghost. There is a kelpie, which is a ghost and a centaur. And there is a faun, which is an elf and a centaur. And then, when you mix those together, you can get any sort of random thing. Wow, look at me, I'm finally going to do a video about hybrids. This is part 1, there are going to be 6 parts for each kind of hybrid. So, we're starting off with half-elves, the most accepted form of hybrid. Not by elves, but by humans. Humans can deal with them, they don't think they're that weird. They can have any kind of human skin tone, human hair, human whatever. They're humans with tiny little pointy ears, that's practically it. They tend to dress very plainly in browns and beiges because color is expensive and they don't get very good jobs. While human society is pretty good at giving them jobs and stuff like that and letting them exist in society, elves hate them. And they will not be allowed within elven townships or elven cities at all. No, they are not allowed, along with every other kind of hybrid. Part 2 will be up shortly. And we're up to part 2 of the hybrid series. Now this is a cyclops. It is a hybrid between a human and a ghost. They are not accepted in human or ghost society, and if they are found within human and ghost society, they are generally kicked out. Which is why you won't see very many of them, or if you do see one, they'll be alone and wandering. They can come in human skin colors, but that's pretty uncommon. Most of the time, whatever color the ghost parent is, they will be that color, just very dulled out. And you can see this one is a very, very dulled out bluish purple, and their hair will always be just a darker version of it. Their hair is also not thin strands like human, it's more thickly packed, like how a ghost's hair looks. Their eye is pale yellow, and their pupils are almost always ovals or circles, but they can have small mutations. Their clothes are both ghost and human base, and part 3 will be up shortly. Now we're up to part 3 of the hybrid series. This is a satyr, which is a hybrid between a human and a centaur. Satyrs are one of the more accepted hybrids, but it's more on a case-by-case basis. Depending on where you were born and what your general community is like. Satyrs can be either goats or sheep. It can be either or whatever species of goat or sheep. No one really knows how it works or, what the species is decided by, but it seems to be kinda random. They wear mostly a lot of scarves and shirts because they obviously can't wear pants. Though some of them do choose to wear little, I want to say ankle bracers, if that's what they're called. You can see Artifacts wearing them in his introduction video. Their pupils are always rectangles, no matter what, and they tend to have unnaturally colored eyes, but it's not uncommon for it to be a normal color. Part 4 will be up very shortly. Part 4 of the hybrid series. This is a faun, which is a hybrid between an elf and a centaur. Faun differ from satyrs in a few key ways. Faun are either deer or some form of antelope. Normal deer are the most common, but the other ones do pop up occasionally. It seems to be, once again, random like the satyrs. They have fluff coming out of their ears and a little bit more of a pronounced deer nose. Their pupils are sideways ovals instead of rectangles. And their clothing is most frequently these little tunic things that they like to wear. Centaurs don't really mind them, but elves absolutely despise their entire existence and will not let them near their towns or near their anything, really. And unlike satyrs, their eyes are normally more naturally colored. They can also talk to animals. Part 5 will be up shortly. This is part 5 of the hybrid series. This is a fae, which is a hybrid between an elf and a ghost. Fae are greatly disliked for many reasons, mostly because they are very magically potent, which makes them better magicians and thus more of a quote-unquote threat. Fae are generally speaking very peaceful people, actually, though they are ostracized by both elf and ghost society. As you can see, they're more ghost than elf with their one big eye that always has that kind of eyelash on it. They inherit their ghostly parents' pupil shape, as well as their core body color. The gradients just kind of naturally occur. They can gradiate between one color and any color. They tend to wear ghostly clothes, but obviously they wear pants. Their ears are very long and always have those little bumps. Their hair is the same color as their body. They're more commonly found on the island of Mixmatch. That is part 5, part 6 will come soon. This is the last part of the hybrid series, woo! This is a Kelpie, which is a hybrid between a ghost and a centaur. Kelpie are also greatly ostracized by ghost society, though centaurs don't mind their presence much at all. They only come in cooler colors, your greens, your blues, that kind of thing. They always have these kind of centaur ears and 2 eyes. The eyes have the pupil of any kind of sea creature that you really want. They tend to wear centaur-like tops, but they do wear sashes to honor their ghost heritage. You can most commonly find them in their own little communities, mostly in bogs, places where normal people don't generally go. Their forms are considerably less stable than ghosts. As you can see, they're kind of goopy, including their hair. Their hair is a darker color than their main body color, and they have darker gradients to their extremities. There is a myth that they like to drown people as well. That's the last of them. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm back for something a little different. It's discussing the biology and appearance of the ghost species in my universe. As per usual, they reproduce with 2 individuals, though the gender doesn't matter. The 2 parents both give a sample of magic ectoplasm-esque material they're made out of and kind of mix it together in a ceremony. Then, after just a little time, a glob like this forms. It's what the ghost would call a baby. The babies can't hold themselves together, so they're kept in very decorative jars until they can actually hold a form, which means their magic just got stronger. And the adolescents are still a little gooey. There's a lot of variety in pupils since they all have only one eye. These are just some common examples. And blue is most common, but they can come in a variety of colors. And that's the basic rundown. Thanks for watching. Hey y'all, I'm back to talk about the more cultural side of the ghost, so let's keep going. One of the most important things is that they live here, on this island called Sun's Cradle. They do have smaller villages elsewhere on the continent, but most of them live on Sun's Cradle. Now, the current person in charge is the ghost matriarch, as she calls herself. Her name is Solaris, and she only recently took over from her dad, who died. Her popularity is questionable. As for clothing, they wear very loose-fitting stuff, like sashes and ponchos and waist wrappings or scarves, always patterned with suns or sun-like colors. To not do so is considered very disrespectful. Ghosts are capable of using all 6 schools of magic, though, as usual, necromancy is illegal. Names usually end in US or IS. Those are the basics. Thanks for watching, and yes, you can make OCs now. Part 1 of explaining magic in my fantasy universe. This is the first kind of magic called basic. It's basic magic. It's like levitating things or making a light. Basically like cantrips, stuff that's super duper easy to learn. And basic magicians wear these kind of symbols to indicate that they are using only basic magic and that they are learning. It's like the first belt you get in karate, you wear one of these. The first elemental type of magic is fire or Ignis, depending on who you talk to. Stereotypically, humans learn this one, but obviously anyone can. And they use these kind of clothes to indicate that they are, in fact, practicing Ignis or fire magicians. The third kind is earth, controlling plants, not the ground. Plants, that's an important distinction. Stereotypically, centaurs are associated with earth magic, but obviously anyone can learn it, and they use these kind of clothes to indicate that. Part 2 of magic talkin'. Our fourth type of elemental magic is water or Ilma, depending on who you talk to, and they wear these kind of symbols to indicate that they are practicing Ilma users. They use these to say, hey, I use this one only. And the fifth type of magic is called wind or ventus, depending on who you talk to. And they use these kind of symbols and clothing to indicate that, yes, I use this kind of magic, only this one. Necromancy is a special case. Since it's illegal practically everywhere, they don't really openly say, hey, I'm a necromancer, because they'll get arrested. But when they do get together in their little covens and have their little ceremonies, they tend to wear these kinds of capes. If you want to learn magic more in-depthly, you need to go to a college sanctioned by the Magical Council. Thanks for watching!